Hey, welcome back to my channel. As you saw, I went to the Taste of Chicago. The Taste of Chicago is the largest food festival held in the world. It usually lasts for about 5 days and occurs in the beginning of July usually. This year it happened between July 5th and July 9th. And over that span of 5 days, it catered to about 1.4 million people, which is huge. The Taste of Chicago features food from seafood to Mexican food to desserts to Chicago staples to food trucks this year. So it just features and highlights all of the best that Chicago has to offer food-wise. I'm actually in the Chicago suburbs, so I decided to take the Metro train down to Chicago for the Taste. I did that because I didn't want to fight Chicago event traffic on a Saturday, and I also didn't want to have to deal with parking. For anyone who is planning to visit Chicago and won't be staying in the city itself, I do recommend taking the Metro train into the city when you have to. If you do decide to take the train and you get down to Chicago, whether you end up at Ogilvie Station or Chicago Union Station, you just take off east over the bridge, and it's about a 20 to 30 minute walk straight shot down to Millennium Park. A little information about purchasing food at the Taste. You actually purchase food with tickets. This year you could get a strip of 14 tickets for $10. You could either get a sample size of food or a full size of food. What you saw me eating in the video were sample sizes. Sample sizes costed about I think 5 to 7 tickets, and full sizes costed between 10 and 14 tickets. I do have some suggestions for people who plan to go to the Taste of Chicago. The first would be to plan for the day. The Taste of Chicago is not something that I would slot for 2 or 3 hours of the day and then have something else that you're going to do. That would be the activity for the day. There are lots of people, there are lines. If you're taking the train, that's something that you have to take into consideration as well. You want to give yourself time to see and taste all the food that you want to taste, stand in those lines to get the food. You want to explore the area and give yourself time to just enjoy yourself while you're there. The second tip I have would be to check out the musical performances that will be going on at the Taste of Chicago before you plan which day you're going to go. Every day there is a different artist performing, because as well as being a food festival, the Taste of Chicago features musical artists. Every day is a different artist who is performing on stage. So you might want to check that out if that's something that you're interested in. The day that I went, I was not really interested in the performer for that day, so I didn't stay for the person or band. If you do plan on staying for the musical performance, I would suggest bringing a folding chair with you that day, so you will have somewhere to sit down and enjoy the performance. The third tip that I have would be to bring a blanket with you. The Taste of Chicago is a food festival, but I think it's kind of strange for it to be a food festival and not actually have anywhere for you to sit down and enjoy food. I think that's a little weird. It's a little pet peeve that I have. The only thing I really don't like about the Taste of Chicago is that aspect. There's really nowhere to sit down, no designated area to eat your food. So if you have like ribs or something, you'll just be walking around with your ribs, with your bag or whatever else that you have with you, and you can't really sit and enjoy your food. If you want to, you can bring a blanket and sit maybe under a tree or something, make it a picnic type of thing, and that's what I would suggest. The fourth and last suggestion that I have would be to bring your own water or drink. The Taste of Chicago occurs in July during the day. It gets hot. You're walking around a whole lot of people, you're on pavement, it's not too much shade over by the food, so it gets really hot. Plus, it's a big event. At big events, we all know things get overpriced. Things like water, pop, anything like that. So I would suggest before you get there, stop somewhere, get a water, get a pop, things like that, stick them in your bag, and go. I did have a really good time at the Taste of Chicago this year. I probably didn't include as much of the food and vendors and food trucks and things as I should have in the video, but trust me, I promise, it's all there. It's a lot of food, a lot of people, a lot to eat. I did take advantage while I was there of being in Chicago and the scenery and the environment. I did take some photo ops at the Buckingham Fountain that's down there, so make sure that you make your way over there if you do go. I would definitely recommend the Taste of Chicago if you love food and you're going to be in Chicago during the summer. Make sure you add that onto your itinerary and enjoy everything that Chicago has to offer. It's a great activity to do. So enjoy yourself. If you enjoyed this video, like my tips, or have any suggestions for me, make sure you subscribe, like, or leave a comment below. Bye.